Um, since end of 2019, coming into 2020 till date, the whole COVID-19 experience, has been rather challenging for a lot of people, and least of not the least of which is the HR department. In different organizations, very challenging to figure out how do we navigate this challenging pandemic season. Now, today is actually International Human Resource Day. All right, we're just celebrating the HR people, and we have been joined by Mrs. Irene Asare, who is actually an HR expert and the founder of the Calvin Clay People Development. Now, she's going to help us to understand the importance of HR and why is this day even set aside, 20th May, set aside for HR people. Why is it even important? Good morning, Irene.
Good
How are you?
morning, David. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Excellent.
It's good to have you
Excellent.
here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank
So let's dive right into the conversation. International Human Resource Day.
Yes.
Why is it
Yes.
even important to recognize this
I
day?
think it's absolutely important. I was thinking to myself, HR, we've always been in the background. We've always kind of been relegated. And I think, like you said, the last couple of years, we've seen HR really have to come to the forefront.
Yeah.
So it is only right that we take the time to kind of recognize and celebrate human resource professionals' contribution, be it to organizations or individuals. So it's a really important day for us.
Okay, so this is your space. This is what you've been doing, for many years. What has been some of the toughest things that people have had to go through this period?
Yes. I mean, definitely been difficult. I think on two levels. So I think initially I would say from a people point of view, we've all gone through something, as I say. And sometimes we don't want to talk about it, but just even the mental health aspect of the challenges we face. And then if you bring that into the workplace, just the uncertainty of, first of all, will I be safe at work? The uncertainty of work in general are just some of the issues, right through to how do we as practitioners make sure that we've got businesses that need to run, we've got people that are now at home, they have to now work at home, but they still need to contribute. They've all got many things going on in the background. It's just been so many different dimensions that we've had to navigate. And I think the other thing I would say is we often forget about the practitioner. In these times, we are busy trying to make sure that you can do your work, you're comfortable. We have to immediately put in processes and policies. And guess what? We need to take the time to look at the HR practitioner because they're going through a lot. They're having to balance. When I've spoken to so many practitioners, they are so busy. I mean, we're experiencing things we've never experienced before. And we've had to be very quick and very fast to kind of respond to that.
So what would you say are some of the, of course there'll be quite a few, but some of the innovations that HR has come up with to make things a little,
I think definitely in the space of remote working and now hybrid working. But you and I remember just 2 years ago, if we said we were working from home, I mean, everybody's response is like, how? It's not possible. We didn't even think about the technology. We wanted to be physically present. So I think the innovation from an HR point of view is, first of all, very quickly having to roll out some type of policy around how do we do this? What's the governance around this? And then, as you've noticed over the last 18 months, we're now gradually, some of us have gone back to the workplace, but some of us have realized, oh, hold on a second, I can still do work at home and be productive. So how do we now manage both? So that we've got a situation where you've got remote working, you've got some working, some not. It brings its own challenges. How you motivate those individuals at home still, how you still engage with those people in the workplace. How do you make sure work is still going on? I think that's one of the big innovations I think we've done. I think the other area is what I've just mentioned before, is around well-being.
Yeah.
right? There's an important role that we play in making sure individuals are really, from a mental health perspective, from a safety perspective, you know, for example, now more employee assistance programs are out there. Opportunity, for example, line managers, we need to be more skilled to kind of look out for certain sort of things that are going on with our employees. Maybe they're a bit more quieter, you know, the whole Zoom fatigue experience,
Yeah.
just making sure that there is just, we are looking after our individuals. Many people have gone through loss of loved ones, maybe have been affected themselves. That brings a whole different perspective on the way you think, particularly in the workplace. And then also some of us have unfortunately been affected by jobs. Maybe, for example, we've lost jobs and therefore you're like, how do I get another job in this time? I think that's another area. And I think the third area, David, is recruitment. So whilst all of this is going on, people are still recruiting.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I've had examples where people have been recruited and never been in the office. Imagine that. That is a concept we are not even, it blows our mind because you're used to meeting people, having an interview, physically going in. We've now had to recruit right through to do interviews virtually, and then using the methods where we do everything online. That is quite a different environment to what we are used to. So these are just some of the three things that HR had to champion.
So I mean, you've brilliantly elucidated on them, but how will these now impact the future? What do you see? What do you see in terms of?
I think you know, we cannot go back. We're on this train. The reality is we are here.
That's true.
And we can't say from now on everybody goes back to the office when we've seen the positivity. And we don't live and work in a vacuum. We work on a global scale. So the reality is the train is going. Therefore, it means there's going to be much more investment, I believe, in technology, especially when it comes to people and the way we do work. So for me, I see it as we are going. We can decide here how fast we want to go. And I'm sure many organizations I know, some of them have adopted this remote working permanently. Some have said we're going to do some of the working, and therefore it frees up some finances, some other investment. So for me, it's like we're on the train and we've got to keep going. It's the future.
So I like that. You just said what I was going to ask you. You said it's the future. So this is the future of work.
It is. It's actually, for me, it's here, right? So there are sort of three aspects to the future of work. We've got to think about the work that we actually do. So if you think about it, if you take let's take us back to 5 years ago even. There are some of the things, some of the technologies. I'm sure maybe Zoom was around, I don't know.
Yeah, Zoom has been around for a while, but we're not using it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And now you can't kind of imagine your life without it.
Yeah.
So we've got to think about that in the context. With automation coming in, there are many things that automation can do. I know you might be saying to me, does that mean robots will take over? There's definitely going to be aspects of robotics.
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be that. There's still, in my opinion, will be a shift. So this brings me on to the second part, a shift in the skills that we now need.
Yeah.
So if we stay in this space of these are my skills, this is what I do, the future of work is going to take over and we're going to be outdated. So we need to move with the times, where the automation and the skills are really important. And then the third aspect is where we do our work. We're a global environment. We can do the work in Ghana, or we can do the work in India, or we can do the work in the UK.
Yeah.
And if we have the same skills, why cannot we not compete on the continent for those jobs? So it's a real shift. I know I've spoken to many people. Some people are very concerned. I think it's about, this is the time to embrace.
Yeah.
This is the time to really think about the skills, think about our businesses, how we do work, and really embrace it.
So more than 20 years ago, I met someone who was actually doing what you're describing.
Wow.
In Ghana, by recruiting people from different parts of the world. They never came to Ghana. They've never stepped on the soil, on Ghanaian soil.
Yeah.
But they've worked for him and he's paid them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, work for him not as in as in like one-offs, but like unemployment.
Yeah.
You know, on the salary for
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, what I find fascinating is there's that where we see that some people are very quick, and even before the pandemic, we're doing this,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
But the larger parts of our continent is a little slower, you know. Particularly, you know, we have this thing in Ghanaian adage that says that amamre and tunchineli, which supposedly it suggests that the way we've done things, don't
Yeah.
get rid
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So it makes sure that we are steeped in our traditions and we get stuck, you know. How quickly do you see us evolving compared to the rest of the world?
I think even from a continent perspective, I see it as an opportunity. I think that sometimes, yes, we are slower to take things up. But one thing I do know is, you know, when I even think about the world of the mobile money, right? We also, when we catch it,
Yeah,
we
we
go
really fast.
we go.
Yeah.
I
When we
think
catch
that
it, we go.
I think that this pandemic has actually ignited a flame in many of us, because now if you're a business owner, you are going to think about how you can be efficient with technology.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't, you know, kind of invest in that big technology, but we're beginning to realize you don't always have to
Yeah.
to start to get some level of efficiency. So I think there are two factors. I think it's about where we are today and now and what we adapt, but it's also about our future, as in our future graduates, our future people, and preparing them for the future of work. There's a here and now that we have to deal with,
Yeah.
but then there is 10 years' time, and we could be at the forefront.
Talking about new graduates, what advice would you give to people coming out of school, those who are in the transitioning phase, coming to the world of work, and what to expect? Because it's definitely going to be very different from what their
goodness.
parents experienced.
I'm telling you, very different. And what they're experiencing. So I think for me, for graduates, it's really about looking at the world, the environment we're in. Of course, I've said often in this conversation, technology. It's about embracing technology. Even if you're a science student, you're a STEM educated student, you absolutely will embrace technology, right? It is also about skills like, you know, how you critically think. You know, in this world, we need problem solvers.
Yeah.
We don't need, this is a problem, can you solve it for
Yeah.
me? We need you to
solve
solve our
the problem,
problem.
yeah.
And we're talking about multi-dimensional problems, right? We're talking about problems of the land, the country, but problems about how we solve things in agriculture, how we solve things in technology, how we solve things in fintech. We absolutely need those skills. I think that it's also important to say, like we said, around the technology element, but we're not also leaving the creatives. Because even if you're a creative student, there's elements in there where we're talking about new innovation and how you can bring that innovation onto the platform. You still may be very creative, but in the way in which you distribute that as well. So I think for graduates, it's about looking at our environment, predicting, having some level of prediction around what is going to be in trend, what's going to happen, and how can I prepare myself. And my thing is, if you are at that level of a graduate and you've got those fundamental thinking, problem solving skills, it's easy to transition to any type of industry. But when you don't even have the foundation, you have a
The
challenge.
basics of problem solving.
Yeah, and this is, for me, this is also, David, about, we're starting to talk about personal leadership. Right? This is about us as individuals. It's no longer about, okay, we admire
Somebody
leaders
else,
up there, but we're talking about what is it,
that we can do
me.
to lead ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So finally, on this day, you know, how do we, looking at HR people,
Yes.
you know, how do organizations, how do the rest of us, you know, really appreciate and recognize
Yes.
HR?
So you see, I'm very excited about that. I just think it's a moment to just recognize. I think I mentioned earlier that a lot of our HR, they've gone through a lot. I'm not saying that others haven't, but we have been at the forefront of people And in this world, we operate with people. So I think it's an opportunity to maybe send an email, just an appreciation, even a recognition. Take time out to give a shout out to your HR colleague and say, look, I know it's been tough, but we're really thankful. We're very appreciative of the support, and just give them that prop and just say, you know, how much you appreciate them. I think it will go an absolute long way. If you want to throw a party for them, social distance, of course, you can do. But just, I think, you know, it should be heartfelt.
Yeah.
It should be heartfelt.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right, thank you very much, Irene.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll be speaking with Mrs. Irene Asare, who is the founder and CEO of the Carbon Clay People Development.